Newsies, and Nick thinks there might even have been a gosh in there. "Can I help you?" Nick asks. "Oh, crud," Andy says, turning the bright pink of Coney Island sunburns. And then he collects himself, or at least he tries to. Nick watches it happen, watches the embarrassment subside and get replaced with a mask of affability. "Nick, right?" Andy asks. "This is embarrassing, but I seem to have gotten myself into a predicament." He gestures at the filing cabinet, where the end of his tie is stuck inside a closed drawer. The first thing Nick notices is that Andy's tie is pale yellow, with tiny white flowers scattered across it. Nick's own ties run the gamut from gray to gray-blue, to one that even has gray and blue stripes. Not because he's particularly attached to those colors, but because that's what normal people wear. Nick has spent years making sure that when people look at him, they don't see anything that sticks out like a sore thumb. They don't see anything at all. They hardly even see a person. Just a man in a suit. Maybe when you're the heir to a publishing fortune, you don't need to worry about that sort of thing. Instead, you can spend your time dropping out of law school and dropping out of business school and then flitting between the capitals of Europe for a couple years. Not that Nick has made it a point to learn all about Andy's history or anything. The second thing Nick notices is that the drawer is jammed. Of course it is. Nothing in the Chronicle building works as it's supposed to. From door handles that require special jiggling, to stacks of carbon paper that come tumbling down if you aren't careful, to a cafeteria worker who prays loudly for you in Hungarian if you don't eat your potatoes. Figuring this out is a sort of organic hazing process that junior reporters and copy boys have to endure. It goes hand in hand with learning how the newsroom works. By the time you've mastered the hot water tap in the 8th floor men's room, you probably have a byline. But nobody can haze the owner's son, even if he is here unwillingly. Nick isn't sure, though, what the alternative is. It's not like there's an operator's guide to how to survive in this place, and even if there were, it would be as thick as a phone book. There's a trick to opening it. Nick has to step close to Andy to execute the trick. Close enough that he can smell aftershave. Close enough that he can hear how fast Andy's breaths are coming. Jesus, the kid must have been in a panic when he thought he was trapped down here, tied by the neck to a couple 100 pounds of metal and old newspapers. Nick shoves the cabinet with his shoulder and then pounds the lower left corner of the stuck drawer with his fist. It pops open, rolling out smoothly, as if judging anyone who ever doubted it. "Oh, gosh, thanks," Andy says. "And here I was trying so hard to make a good impression. I offered to come down here and get the clippings myself instead of sending a copy boy." Nick, fool that he is, recognizes this as both a confession and a dare. Andrew Fleming, the fucking third, is daring Nick to do the most cliched thing someone in his position can possibly do, and make friends with a boss's son. Nick has never known how to turn down a dare. "Next time," Nick says. "Send a copy boy." "Right," Andy says, sounding abashed. He makes a useless effort to smooth his tie, which is now hopelessly creased and probably ruined, and turns towards the elevators. "Thanks, Nick." "Wait. Stay still." Nick can't send the kid back to the newsroom looking like he's been mugged. He reaches out and smooths Andy's tie as best as he can, then straightens his lapels, which had gone all askew when he battled the filing cabinet. "If you button your jacket, it'll hide the worst of the damage," he suggests. Andy flashes Nick a smile, 1,000 watts of professionally straightened teeth, and it's like a 2x4 to the head. It takes Nick a minute to arrange his face. April 1958. From there, it's only natural for Nick to invite Andy out for drinks with a handful of reporters who are waiting to see whether they need to rewrite anything before deadline.